Director Wes Craven created the Nightmare on Elm Street movies based on his childhood and a creepy old man in a fedora that he would see from time to time. When casting for his film franchise, his first choice was not Robert Englund. According to Craven, he wanted to cast actor David Warner for the lead role. Makeup tests were done on David, but ultimately a scheduling conflict led to the studio having to recast the role of Freddy Krueger. And, according to many horror fans, Robert Englund is the only person they could see in this iconic role. And now you know the gory details. There are plenty of strange and scary things that surround the 1973 film The Exorcist. While many of those stories are up for discussion on their validity, at least one story is true. During the carotid angiography scene in the film, director William Friedkin wanted a sense of realism, so he asked the actual neurosurgeon team at the hospital to act out the scene. One of the team members was Paul Bateson. 6 years after the release of The Exorcist, Bateson was charged with the murder of film critic Addison Verrill. During the murder, Bateson crushed Addison's skull with a skillet before stabbing him repeatedly. In prison, Bateson confessed to the murder of several other men, yet was never charged. Friedkin would later direct the 1980 film Cruising, which was loosely based on Paul Bateson's dubious confessions. And now you know the gory details. When you think of science fiction horror icons, there are a few notable entries. First, we have the Xenomorphs from the Ridley Scott Alien film franchise. Then we have the Terminator, a cybernetic killer appearing in its own film series. And finally, we have the Apex Killer in The Predator. All three of these monsters have their own kill counts, but they share only one person in common, Bill Paxton. Bill portrayed a punk in the 1984 film The Terminator, who was quickly dispatched by the arriving cybernetic assassin. 2 years later, he took on the role of Private Hudson in Aliens, a brash and boisterous soldier who went down a blaze of glory. And in the 1990s Predator 2, Paxton became Detective Jerry Lambert, a cop who provided much the comic relief in the film before having his head and spine ripped from his body. Other actors have come close, but Bill Paxton still remains, as of 2021, the sole actor with this macabre honor. And now you know the gory details. James Cameron almost made a very different choice when he was casting his 1984 sci-fi action film, The Terminator. Initially, when looking for actors to play the two main roles, Cameron liked the look of Arnold Schwarzenegger. However, the studio behind the Terminator project, Orion Pictures, had another choice for the role of the T-800. That person was O.J. Simpson. While O.J. was a big guy and was once a pro football player, James Cameron thought he was too nice and could never be a killing machine. Thus, Cameron lobbied for Schwarzenegger to take the role of the killer robot in the film. Just 10 years later, O.J. Simpson was arrested and charged with 2 brutal murders. Though he was found not guilty, his nice guy tag was forever tarnished. And now you know the gory details. Fewer names in horror inspire fear more than Jason Voorhees. The legendary killer of Camp Crystal Lake has a name that sparks nightmares in fans of the Friday the 13th series. But, in early drafts of the script, Mrs. Voorhees' baby boy had a very different name. The original name was Josh Voorhees. After reviewing the script a few times, Victor Miller changed his name to Jason, a combination of his sons Josh and Ian's names. The name Voorhees came from someone Miller knew in school and sounded sinister. Fans do agree, Jason Voorhees is a lot scarier than Josh Voorhees. And now you know the gory details. During the filming of the 1978 classic horror film Halloween, multiple people portrayed the Shape, aka Michael Myers. Most fans will readily state Nick Castle and Tony Moran as the two men who brought him to life, but others had their parts. During the opening kill scene, Deborah Hill was the hand-slashing Judith. Will Sandon played the clown costume-clad Myers at age 6. During the closet scene, production designer Tommy Lee Wallace donned the mask while stuntman James Winburn took the dive out of the window. The last person to play Michael Myers in the film was a dog trainer who was on set during the scene where Michael kills the Wallace's dog. In total, 7 people had their hand in making Michael Myers the classic monster that he is. And now you know the gory details. You know what they say, art imitates life. That is well on display in the horror movie industry. Horror movies borrow heavily from true crime stories, historical accounts, and folk tales. One crime story in particular that sparked multiple horror films is the story of Ed Gein. When authorities searched Gein's home in Plainfield, Wisconsin, they found multiple human body parts, including masks made of human skin, bowls made of bones, and other macabre objects. Needless to say, the heinous acts of Ed Gein have been the basis for many horror films, including Psycho, Silence of the Lambs, and of course, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And now you know the gory details. In early 2008, DreamWorks Studios had a choice to make. Would it be part of a new low-budget scary movie called Paranormal Activity, or would it pass? To make the best choice, famous Hollywood director Steven Spielberg took a screener copy of the film home with him. Soon after reviewing, Spielberg returned the DVD to the office wrapped in a garbage bag. According to Steven, soon after watching the film, a door in his home locked itself from the inside, requiring a locksmith to fix. He stated he no longer wanted the movie anywhere near his home. This was all that was needed for DreamWorks to greenlight the project. And now you know the gory details. During his teenage years, director James Wan saw a news report about a man who would break into people's homes. While the invader did not take items or commit murders or anything of those sorts, he would tickle the feet of sleeping children. This headline scared the young Wan so much that he kept a hammer by his bed, just in case the serial tickler came to pay him a visit. Adding to the story, when the suspect was caught, he told authorities that he had been forced to do these crimes. The man also said he was sent a puzzle piece with the instructions on what to do next from a complete stranger. Years later, James Wan would use this story for the creation of the character Zepp in the movie Saw. Like his real-life counterpart, Zepp was told to commit crimes by a mysterious person. And now you know the gory details. Bees are frequently used in movies. They're a source of fear that the characters in the movie, as well as the audience, have a connection with. In the 1992 horror classic Candyman, actor Tony Todd spent a lot of time with these winged creatures. As his character had been stung to death by bees, his ghost form used them. At one point during filming, Candyman had bees come from his mouth. This practical effect was done using real bees and a dental dam to help prevent the insects from crawling down his throat, though it was not 100% successful. In all, Tony Todd was stung over 20 times during the making of the film. In his contract, he was paid $1,000 for each sting, turning his pain into a nice bonus payday. And now you know the gory details.